Okay, we're getting started. Did it go live? Yeah, it's live. Awesome. Okay. Glad to see everybody coming in here. Just getting everything set up. Today we're going to be talking about. Okay, so today I went to Glendale. Glendale, California. They had a school board meeting protest for the curriculum that is a very, let's say, very pro certain topics that some parents do not like. And it was a very interesting experience. Definitely, hey, I definitely got to see a unique perspective on the media and how it works. So I wanted to share. Let me get set up. So I wanted to share that whole experience. We talk about propaganda, we talk about the different agendas and all those things, but it's really interesting to actually see it in person. That's why it's important to actually get from behind the keyboard and go into real life and interact in reality so that you can actually see what's happening. Okay, 1 second. Let me adjust my microphone. So right now I think it's not very in tuned. So yeah. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience, to say the least. To see the narrative being painted, to see everything being instructed. It's bizarre. They call it the fake news. They call it we know it's left-wing media. We know that it's very focused on one agenda and pushing one narrative, but actually seeing it in person is pretty interesting and a good case study, because the more we've been actually witnessing this type of thing, the more we can actually recognize what's happening. So let me see. Okay, there. I think the mic should be working. There we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. So we're going to break down the experience I had today looking at the mainstream media, how they were handling the protests that were going on in Glendale. Parents are getting upset about curriculum. They have all of these issues related to what's being taught to their children. And obviously, we know what the message that they're pushing is. We know what that is. We know it's going to be very, there's a phobia there. There's all of these things related to bigotry and supremacy and all the familiar names that they use. And seeing them actually put together the narrative, get their shots, get their little sound bites, get their little pieces, their little B-roll clips. It's really interesting, and it's actually very impressive how they're able to do it so consistently and so strategically. So I got some information, got some video to go over with that. Let me see. Hope everyone's evening is going well. Seeing the mainstream media in full effect is seeing the left in their natural habitat of instigating and creating this false narrative, these negative narratives around just regular people. It's awe-inspiring. And it's also just disgusting. It's physically uncomfortable for me. It's just so disturbing to see what they do and how they do it. Because unfortunately, people who consider themselves, to be on the right, or let's say more get painted in a very specific light and a very specific narrative. We know what the familiar rhetoric is. They're phobic, they're anti this, they're anti that. Yes, Soren. seeing the left in their natural habitat is like going to the zoo. It really is, to see how they put these narratives together, how they carefully handle and organize people who are not, following the woke agenda, people who are anti-woke, seeing how they structure everything and how seamless they make it. And time and time and time and time again, people fall into their traps. They fall into their familiar traps. They have tactics. They have a very, very, very clear methodology in how they structure narratives, how they twist the narrative, how they reframe things. And unfortunately, I would say, it's hard to say because these people are not conservative. They're just people who don't want to focus on the woke Marxist agenda. So obviously, if you do not focus on the woke Marxist agenda, if you do not 100% comply and agree with it, then you're bigot, you're anti this, you're anti that, you're phobic, you're whatever it is they want to push. So if you're not familiar with Glendale, let me pull up some of the basic storyline of what's going on there. So essentially, this is related to LGBTQ material. Hello, thanks for joining. This is basically related to LGBTQ material that's going to be in the curriculum. Now, we know that with the left, with the woke, with the Marxists, they have what's called doublespeak. They say that they're trying to teach history, like Black history. They're trying to teach LGBTQ topics, just friendly, just to have inclusivity and welcoming and just to make everything good. And just, to support people, to support the kids, support families, and be open and equitable and diversity and inclusion and all these things, all these great, nice things that sound nice on the surface. But as James Lindsay points out, I've actually been binging him, and I'm going to be doing a locals video on James Lindsay and some of the top notes that I've got from him, because such good information, and it really helps you with understanding their tactics, helps you see the propaganda and how they're forming it and where the narratives are going. But as he says, it's all doublespeak. We're familiar with the term. There's the main point, the main exoteric meaning that they have, and then there's the cult indoctrinated meaning. There's the meaning that they really mean, like when they say they're anti-capitalist, when they say whiteness, when they say all of these terms, inclusion, diversity, all of these terms, they have two meanings. They have the surface meaning for people who don't really understand or fully comprehend the agendas that they're pushing, because it is a small minority of people who are pushing these agendas. Yeah, I'd love to see the video. Yeah, I'm going to do a roundup of just James Lindsay and give you guys just a roundup of my notes and what are the key talking points around him on locals. So I'll probably film that after this. I'll probably just jump on there. But overall, we can see, okay, what is the narrative that they're pushing? Anytime you go against their narrative, they're going to paint you as phobic. They're going to say that you're a bigot, supremacy, whatever it is that they need to do to give you a negative light, because they need to immediately make it. What's up, comrades? Yes, they need to immediately make it so that whatever it is you say, you can't really defend yourself against them. You have to support it. Otherwise, you are all these negative things. Why are you against diversity? Why are you against inclusion? Why don't you want people to be who they are and love who they love? Like, why are you like that? That's terrible, right? So they set it up so that whatever position you take, they can paint you as the negative person. Yes, I love it. The iron law of woke projection. Exactly. They love to project. That's why, and again, I hate plagiarizing people, but James Lindsay talks about that that's what they do. Number one thing is projecting. They talk about projecting constantly. They talk about dog whistles. They talk about all these things. Why do they talk about that? Because that's what they do. They are a group that just loves confession through projection. So whatever it is that they say negative about you, it's probably half what they're doing. So it's not such a mystery. But I guess that has to do with the whole inversion thing, the whole occult religion that they have and everything like that. So, okay. For the Glendale protests. Oh, nice. You follow James Lindsay too. Good. Yeah. He's really good. Because as I'm like trying to break down more of the propaganda tactics, I'm like, I need to learn more about the woke ideology and the woke religion, because it is a very interesting religion that they have. They are very obsessed with certain things. Okay, one second. Let me check this lighting. Where did my... Oh, that's not the wrong... I need to figure this thing out. Let me get this lighting together. Okay. Why is it going? Where is my lighting? Ugh. Just go. Go. Anyway, I guess it's just going to be crazy. So, let's see. It goes back before ancient Greece, the Gnostic philosophy, religion. Great point. Yes. He got it from their own writings. I know. That's the thing. That's what's so funny to me. Before we get into the Glendale thing, that's what's so funny to me about this whole, term conspiracy theory, and them calling everyone a conspiracy theorist, and they're just being conspiracy theorists, and they're making things up, and where are you coming from? It's like they articulate all of these things in like published writing, like they do seminars on it, like none of this is actually hidden. So that's the part that's very strange to me, why it's so difficult for people to recognize and acknowledge what's happening in society when it's literally, oh, there we go. Get some lighting in here. When it's literally published, they don't hide any of these things. So the term conspiracy theory is just, I don't know, it's meaningless and empty from my perspective. And whenever people call you a conspiracy theorist, I mean, at this point, it's just, okay, sure. Believe what you need to believe. But again, that just goes back to, are you telling the right message? Are you focused on the right things? Because people don't need to hear every single agenda tied into one all the time. So within this whole Glendale situation, the parents are protesting the curriculum, the information that's in there. And they're having a school board discussion. They're having protests. They had Antifa there. They had, people on both sides arguing and protesting against this, people opposing it and the inclusion of it. So 3 people were arrested outside of California school board meeting after fights between pro and anti-LGBT protesters began. So immediately you can see within this narrative of what they're doing when these parents are talking about, like, for example, the book banning. That is a great tagline that they use. They're banning books. They're banning books. That rhetoric, they repeat it over and over and over and over again. Every single headline, banning books, on Twitter, banning books. But that's not what they're doing. They're banning pornographic material for children, essentially, whether it's, a story or an illustration, a graphic, whatever it is. But they use banning books and they stop there. So again, they control the narrative. They make sure you're not actually having a discussion around the substance of it. So here they're framing all of these people as being pro and anti-LGBTQ. Now, the protesters probably are not anti. They probably don't really care. Like, not a lot of people actually care that much, especially if you're in California. It's not really that important. It's just life, like whoever, like whatever. It's not that serious. But they have to frame this in a way so that you're not going to have an argument around the substance. You're not going to be talking about, oh, what are they doing with the kids? What's going on with the kids? What's in this actual curriculum? Why is it that they feel the need to protest against this? Why are they talking and speaking out against this? They just need to focus on the issue that, it's anti-LGBT. They're attacking the LGBT. That's all it is. And obviously CNN. I'm going with CNN because, it's the holy grail of leftist propaganda. But MSN is actually picking up really well. They're doing a really good job, especially with their talking heads commentators. They're doing a really good job over there at MSN, pushing the leftist narrative. Okay, so here we have, that is the main focus of the article. Then we move on to the actual article, just to give you framing before I get into what actually happened in my experience, so you can understand how they're framing this, what they set up, what they've already established. Okay, so basically the resolution up for discussion at the meeting states, in part, California state law prohibits discrimination, all these things. The board is unanimously is approved the resolution Tuesday evening about inclusion of this new curriculum. So they're committed to safe environment. Like all of this is leftist doublespeak. Safe environment and inclusion and blah, 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 whatever. It's like, obviously you want people to be happy. CNN, that's all you have to say. The protests were mostly Armenians who are a lot more traditional in the events. Exactly. They're just regular, traditional, normal people. They're not, it's not anything over the top. They're not these over the top fanatics. They're just people. That's it. They're just regular people. And so they have that, so they're talking about Gavin Newsom in a statement praised the district for standing tall against the organized campaign of hate. So sweet. So parents who do not necessarily agree with or want certain material in the curriculum for their children. I mean, we spent a long time not including all of these things. It wasn't really the most important thing to discuss, but of course, because this is the the Marxist takeover of America, they need to indoctrinate the children. They need to make sure the children are going along with the agenda. They need the kids on board. You need the kids on board. You need the fresh energy. You need the children. You need that good energy. You need that positivity. You need that naivety. You need someone who doesn't have a frame of reference, who doesn't have any sort of bearing to resist the cult indoctrination. It's hard enough for adults in college going through the indoctrination. But I mean, if you're starting with a 7-year-old, what possible hope do they have to resist the Marxist indoctrination? They don't have any. That's why for the left, the schools are the most important, most important, because that is where they get their capital, their human capital, because they're seizing the means of everything. They're seizing everything. So it definitely needs to be the human capital. So, oh my gosh. They're spreading. Refresh. Oh, sorry, I just got in. I'm just like, ooh. I literally just got in. Where did I put such a live streamer. I feel like such a live streamer now, you guys. I'm like always on the live streams. Okay, so yeah. Seizing the means of social production. Exactly. Because, I mean, as this cult moves forward, I mean, it's not at all a like lively, loving cult of life. I mean, they support some pretty scary stuff. So their whole fundamental like ideology is based around things that are not the most conducive to life. Let's just say that and leave it there. They like spreading the lie that any disagreement is the worst type of hate. It is. It's all bigotry. It is. I mean, you guys, you need to go with whatever they say, whatever is being discussed. Just go along with the agenda. I don't understand why you won't go along with the agenda. They're trained to shut down logical conversations through inverted dialectics. Yes, very, very good one. Very good one. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you like the way the stream. I'm just going along with that. I just got in, so I'm excited to share with you guys. So in California, Gavin Newsom goes on to state, in California, we celebrate the beauty of pluralism, how our diverse communities, heritage, and identities belong and together make us whole. All about diversity. Glendale represents the best of this commitment, but the hate we saw on full display last night does not. And what should have been routine vote, simply recognizing Pride Month for the 4th year in a row, turned to violence. Oh my God. So we have to push it. And the other thing I want to point out with all of this ideology, and the thing that I think so many people, one of the most critical parts that people always miss is it's never just about, it's just about the Pride Night. Oh, it's just about this one book, or it's just about one class, or it's just about teaching history, or it's just about that. It doesn't stop. They move incessantly toward their goal. They will not stop. They inch as forward as much as they can, and then if they have to stop, they'll re-strategize, figure out another option, and regroup. But that slippery slope idea, I mean, it's very real. Like, it's just so sad that so many people let their guard down and thought it wasn't real. So, obviously with this, you have the actual governor of the state painting these people as hateful, as bigoted, as, anti-LGBTQ, so on and so forth. So from that point on, there's no discussion. There's no discussion from that point on. It's just, these people are hateful. Don't listen to them. They hate you. And yeah, we can dismiss them. And we can just ignore them. And if you aren't full of hate, this is the other thing. They need that binary. They need that polarization. If you're not bigoted, you're going to agree with every single last thing that we say. Because otherwise, you're a white supremacist. Like, oh my gosh, like that clip with the... Oh my gosh, I need to get that clip. Like the clip with the woman, and she was calling the Muslims at some city council meeting. They're white supremacists, essentially. Where is that clip? That one is it's one of the best clips, honestly. I need to find it. But that's how they keep moving their agendas forward. They are able to polarize people. They're able to say, if you don't agree with this, then you obviously hate us. You're obviously a bigot. You obviously don't, you obviously hate these people. And that's it. Then they can end the conversation. Then it's done. That's it. It's over. They won, you know? And it's very frustrating to see conservatives fall into that trap every time, where they just let them bait them and let them control the narrative that way. It's really disturbing to see. Yeah, I'm going to, in post-production, I'll put the clip in, but hey, everyone. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for joining. It's sad we're living in a time, unfortunately, thinking outside of the box and being skeptical about things. It's considered hate speech and conspiracy theory. Exactly. Because they cannot, everything they have built up is a logical fallacy. Nothing is actually substantial. There's nothing there. So either they deflect with reframing the argument, calling you a bigot, whatever it is, or they just, or they dismiss you and basically call you a bigot and that's it. So, or repeat their rhetoric. So it's really disturbing to see how it is so obvious and is so routine, and they're so strategic with everything, but conservatives keep falling into that trap. So if you're watching the video, I hope you like the video. Give a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. So I hope everyone in here can do that. But yeah, so they built this narrative. All of these people are hateful and bigoted. Oh, so bad. So they're able to do that. They're able to just structure it that way. And so they move on. And while I was there in Glendale to actually see the protest, it was very eye-opening to see how they organize things to get their clips, to push their narrative, to make sure it's very simple and very easy. There's no doubt. There's no discussion. There's no wiggle room. They have it really well planned out. So I'm going to share with you guys some of the footage of just like how they set it up and basically how they organized this event to further their narrative and push the agenda even farther and make sure people remain polarized, make sure no one has a discussion, and make sure, people just agree and go along with it. The normal people, just the regular people who aren't really picking sides, they're just going along to get along. Those people who don't really take the time, they just want to understand what's happening. They'll just go along with whatever the media says, basically. I mean, it's not that difficult for them. It's not that difficult because, the conservatives do so poorly in structuring the narrative, honestly. So. Okay, so here is the clip that I'm going to show you just how it was set up. So we can take a look and see exactly what they do. Oh, that's what's so frustrating because the normies don't look past the mainstream narrative. Exactly, they really don't. It's sad, but we need to continue to think and question everything while we all can. Exactly, we really, really do, because every single day they're pushing the agenda. They're making sure people don't question things and making sure everything moves along perfectly for them. Okay. Let's see. So here they are. We've got the people here. We've got the police on one side. And on this side is where the pro, woke, Marxist, LGBT, whatever, all the things, all the current things, people were on this side. And then we had on this side the Armenian, people, the parents, the overly sexual curriculum people were on this side. And when they did this, so originally they were on the other side of the parking lot and it was more sectioned off. But then there was this sort of Antifa antagonizer who got the guys to come over and, basically storm up. And so they put up these barricades, they put these things up for people to separate them. But let's see. Oh, super sticker. Thank you. From pair character stretching his arm through raising his thumb up. Okay. I love how it's like in this little app, it doesn't explain them, but you guys see what they look like. Thanks for the super sticker. I really appreciate all your support. So we've got the people here. On the loudspeaker. Here's one of the signs. We're here to fight for age-appropriate curriculum. We are not anti-LGBT. So this is a very clear message. It's pretty obvious to everyone. It's very simple. But unfortunately, the media, the news, ABC News, I think CBS was there as well. They were all in the woke side. They were all interviewing the woke group. They didn't go over and talk to any of the parents that were opposed to this curriculum. They didn't discuss that with them. They didn't go over there at all. I was there. They weren't there. I saw them set up. It was not there. And so they build this narrative. They put it very plainly. You only see one side of the story. You only hear one soundbite. And again, the average person, they're not going to see past the narrative. They're not going to do research and due diligence and try to understand what's happening. I want to share some of the K2. I want to share the clips from the media, but I know that news channels, they'll copyright strike you if you do. So I'm not going to play it here, but essentially they're all, pushing the same thing. And this happened tonight, like 4 hours ago, where they were discussing it. So they're all on one side. They're all interviewing one side of the group. So here they are. It's a very small crowd, and that's the news media. That's the news media right there. Just a very small crowd and just the news right there. And again, this is on the other side. On the other side of this yellow little mesh thing are, some of the parents. And then on the other side to the right where the building is, they have even larger crowd of people. But they're not over there. That's not. Come on. Why would you? No. I know. It's a very small crowd of people.
They want to embarrass you. They want to get you on camera.
And, they had people saying, like, don't fall for the bait, don't fall for the antagonism. Because basically, essentially, they had the camera set up. You can see the people are lined up here. They had the camera set up on the other side, all lined up. They had someone antagonizing so they can get the clip. They can say, oh, these people are anti, they hate, they're evil, they're so bad, they're bigoted, all of these things. So they can, it's just, they're so good at it. And then you see in this, like all of these leftists, they're all just recording. They're all just getting all the little clips, all little things showing all these, toxic masculinity and like mean, evil guys just standing there with their bigotry and all of these things. And it's so well organized. It's so well choreographed. Like everything is set up so precisely. They know exactly what to do to set them up to get the reaction they need. They get the clips. They push the narrative. No discussion. Nothing there. Done. Everything's easy. Super easy. They know how to control. They know how to control the narrative. They know how to get the clips that they need. And unfortunately, people who are just regular people or anti-woke or whatever, conservatives, they don't know how to handle this. They don't know how to control the narrative. They don't know how to reframe things. I mean, look at these people. They're just literally all lined up to get the clips. Where do you think they're going to post these clips? How difficult is it going to be for them to just continue their slander, continue their pushing their narrative. This hate group, that's all it is, in the conversation. Agree with them or you're a bigot too. Yeah. That's so sad. They aren't showing. Yeah, no, of course not. They're not going to show the full story. They're not going to interview people. They're not going to push anything but the leftist narrative. They're not interested in it. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see. They're following the rules for radicals exactly. They're doing a really good job at it. Like all of these, that's what they do. They get their clips. So now you can't argue. What is there to argue? You see the clip, you see them attacking people, you see them, yelling and screaming. You see them, someone like snatched a flag, and a journalist immediately got her phone out. And I'm going to get the clip of that too and put it in here. Got her phone out, went to go record it. Just perfect. There's nothing difficult at all for these people to paint whatever narrative they want to. You see? And those are the parents over there, the police, and then just the leftist media right there. I mean, some of those people, I don't think they're all press. I think some of them are just regular Antifa people, or just regular pro woke whatever agenda. I don't even know. There's so many. I don't even know what you call these people. But you see that it's so easy. It's just like, it's such an easy setup that they have. It's so sad to see. And just some of the rhetoric that some of the people were spouting, like, oh, gays are like this and that, and just the most ridiculous sound bites, the most ridiculous things, like people were yelling and screaming on loud mics. It's just, and they don't realize that they're feeding into the narrative. They're digging a deeper hole. They don't see that. They don't understand that. They don't have media training. They don't understand propaganda at all. Like nothing. They understand nothing about it, because for them, it's all about their emotions, their personal feelings about things, their perspective, and just getting that energy out, reacting. Reactionary politics and people, conservatives reacting, is just, it's a conveyor belt of failure. Honestly, it's so sad to see. It's so sad to see. And it's like laughable to see it at this point. It's like, how can you even continue to do this? You're not focusing the issue. You're not framing the issue on what actually needs to be discussed. You're just feeding their narrative. You're helping them double down. You're helping them win. You're helping them convince larger and larger groups of the population that if you don't agree with them, you're obviously a bigot, because look at all these bigots over here. Look at all these violent people over here. Look at all these toxic men over here. And it's sad and it's depressing. What's happening in the schools is the most evil. It's the only thing I'm really concerned about. I know. It's so sad to see. It's so sad to see what's happening. But again, you're not actually having the conversation center on what's happening in the schools and the curriculum and why this would not be something you want to teach. I mean, I've looked at those, books that those conservatives are banning, and they're disturbing. They're disturbing books. Genderqueer, very disturbing book. I was like seriously disturbed. Honestly, we should go through it on Locals at some point, because as an adult reading that book, I'm just like, this is sick. Like literally sick. This person has severe emotional issues. I wouldn't want to read that as a 12-year-old. Like, no. Oh, good night. Yeah. And so I wish that people would take the time to not just react to things, to not just set themselves up for failure in this way. Don't give the media all the clips they need. Don't give them the sound bites. Don't give them these things. Simply just don't respond. Be strategic. But that's not what they want to do. They want to get upset. They want to lash out. They want to pick a fight. They want to react in this way, and they don't realize that from a propaganda perspective, from a strategic perspective, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. It just makes things incredibly worse. But that's conservatives. I mean, that's what they do. That's anyone who's anti-woke. That's all they do. They just dig themselves deeper and deeper into the hole. We need principled classical liberals to come up with solutions. Conservatives aren't creative enough. I know. Like, honestly, conservatives aren't creative enough. They're just not. They're just not. And, you know, people can be offended by this. Sure, whatever. If you get offended, you get offended. I can't really help it. But the whole discussing Jesus and this and that, and this is immoral, like all these things, it just doesn't really accomplish anything. It doesn't. Because who are you talking to? These people don't care. They're telling you they're godless, heathens, savages. They don't care. They don't care about your Jesus. So maybe you could reframe it to something they actually care about, to something that doesn't seem so stigmatized and doesn't seem so polarizing. Not everyone, like, for example, is Christian. Not everybody has this worldview. And it's not to say that it's bad to be that way. It's just, it's not winning anyone over. You know, it's not. Like, we have to have talking points that will actually win people over. Identify what is actually going to compel them to explore these things, to explore and have a nuanced conversation, not just tell them believe in Jesus. I remember posting that page from Genderqueer on Facebook. Took it down for breaking guidelines on sexual content. I know, exactly. It's disturbing. It's so literally, the person has problems. Let's just say that. The person who wrote that had severe emotional problems. I have no doubt about that. It doesn't mean enough people where they are, but yeah, coming for the children is not very good. But I mean, again, we know that that's who they have to recruit. It's never changed. That's a thing that's so frustrating with dealing with being anti-woke, being, you know, anti-leftist, all of these things. It's that everybody who is opposed to their ideologies and their agendas, it's not really hard to counter them. They don't have new strategies. They've been doing the same thing for a century. It's like, we know who they're going to target. We know what narrative they're going to have. We know how they're going to use doublespeak. We know all of these things. We know they're going to use the media. They're going to do all of these things, but yet, no, just going to respond, just going to fall into their trap, just going to take the bait each and every time. I can't believe how bamboozled people are. I listen in on leftist Twitter spaces. It's freaky. It is really freaky. It is really freaky to see. It is so sad to see. So the real question here is, like, what is needed in this space, in this situation? Because seeing what I saw with the just, it's like shooting, what is that term? It's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's like obvious not moving the needle forward in the right direction. Like, the media is in line with it. They organize everything. They know what to do. They know where to stand up. They just need to wait. They just need to say a few lines, a few phrases, and they'll have their narrative. They'll have the good, juicy clips. I mean, seeing the journalist run up when someone snatched the flag from this one person, and seeing the journalist just run up with their camera and just be like, oh, I got it. I got the clip. I got it. So what is she going to do? Obviously. Obviously, leftist reporter. Obviously, very focused on pushing a specific narrative. It's California. Okay, the problem is we've had over a generation of public school destroying our critical thinking skills. Yeah, no, totally. We definitely had that. Critical thinking skills are not totally there. It's not totally there. So when you see something like this, the immediate thing that I just felt so disgusted. I just felt so frustrated and disgusted. I had to laugh at it because it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to see people just fall into this structured trap so easily. They didn't understand what they were playing into and how they were pushing the narrative. They didn't really get any of that. They were just, again, reacting to these people who have a very clear strategy, think about these things, strategize these things, plan these things out. When you react to it emotionally, because we talk about the left and how emotional they are and how they're just all so, batshit crazy. They're just so crazy and emotional. But conservatives are very emotional. They're very emotional. They're very emotional. But if you were able to just focus in on the core message, repeat that message over and over again. Like in this video, I show you the sign. If this was the message they were pushing over and over and over again, orderly, peacefully, lovingly, because it's all about love. They just want to be loved and inclusive and everything. Oh, it's just, the doublespeak. Oh, we're just here for, helping people and the marginalized and all of these things. If you just don't let them frame you badly, just push this one message, that would be really great. Then people would be forced to have a conversation. But again, they don't want to have a conversation. They just want to get their little clips. The left-wing media just wants to get their clips, get their interviews, and move on. It's not that difficult for them. There's nothing really opposing it. There's no concise narrative opposing what they put out. I mean, they have the video footage. Like, what are you going to say to them? There's nothing to say. Because obviously, if you don't want this, if you do not want this curriculum for children, then you're a bigot. Then you're anti-LGBTQ. That's all there is to it. There's no gray area. And it's so unfortunate to see. I was a little shocked. It was a little shocking to see how strategic and how dishonest they are. Because it's not what people were there for. They were there about the curriculum, not there about, oh, we hate LGBT people. Luckily, I'm looking at the comments. Let me see if I can share this. I'm looking at the comments, and it seems like a lot of the comments for the news reports for the videos are actually pretty positive. Like, people are like, yeah, protect the kids, we don't agree with this, things like that. So that's promising. I mean, that's promising. They just take this. They want to blow it up, take it, and move their talking points forward. It's so sad to see. You live at ground zero. I live in ground zero. Yeah, I know. California is definitely ground zero. It's really fun. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of fun, exciting things happening with the people. So, with all of this, it's time to actually strategize a little bit better. It's time to actually structure a better narrative. I don't know. That would seem to be more beneficial than just blowing off steam and getting upset and being agitated about things. Hello. this should be the central focus. It shouldn't be people fighting. It shouldn't be little clips of people yelling and screaming or grabbing flags or any of those things. It should just be this. Way to summarize it. They know exactly how to trigger the conservatives and make them go straight to black and white thinking, make them drop nuance, which enables them to drop it as well until the fights are, There's no nuanced discussion. It's just you're either for or against us, which is very convenient for them because they don't really have much in terms of an argument a lot of the time. They really don't. That's why they have to use so much doublespeak. That's why they have to rely on it. That's why they have to indoctrinate people. They don't have anything to argue. Like, why would a child need to learn about like pleasuring themselves? Like why do they need to know that? Why? How does that benefit society? I don't know. It seems inappropriate to me. It's so hard for any mainstream outlet to tell the truth without losing their financing. Yeah, probably. Which again, why is it set up that way? Complacency, people just going along with whatever, laziness, because you have to be, non-participation is how we got to this place. So yeah, it was a disturbing event, not because of all the aggressive mean men and the bigotry, but because they literally lined people up, said, here you go, here's an antagonizer, come over here, just like, come over here, line up, and we'll get our footage, we'll get our shots. It won't be that difficult. Even someone on the loudspeaker is like, trying to explain, don't go over there, they're going to provoke you. And they're just, sitting on their cell phones, just ready to talk. Just being like, oh my God, these aggressive mean men, they're so bad. Look how horrible they are. See? Just got them all lined up, ready to get the shoot, ready to get the shot. It's like, it's not that difficult for them. It's honestly not. But at some point, I need to really, I don't know, at some point people need to figure it out. Figure out a better strategy, because this one is not working at all. Like, not working at all. There's no progress being made. Yes, people are waking up to things because they're getting more and more insane. But ultimately, it's not reversing any of these laws. It's not, changing anything in terms of policies or curriculum, largely. It's not making progress. It's just getting people upset. If these psychos didn't have trillions of dollars behind them, this narrative would crumble. Exactly. It totally would, because it's anti-human at the end of the day. Like all of it, like the climate change, the everything. It's just, it's ridiculous. Yes, the supremacists. Yes, they were out there. Hi, Jojo. BlackRock and other financials forcing people to do what they want, confusion, medicalization, war, etc. is good for business. It is. It's really, really good for business. Makes a lot of money. I do not want better liars. I want more honest people. See, this is a very important point, because people think being strategic with the narrative, managing perception, utilizing counter propaganda, all of these things, they immediately think that it's somehow dishonest, that it's bad. But it's not. That's not what's happening. You need to do all of these things. You need to control perception. You need to manage perception. You need to control the narrative. You need to frame the discussions. You need